Train is back. One of the oldest and most beloved Counter-Strike maps has seen a complete remake and rework. This is pretty much a completely new map, and I think will be the template for new maps going forward because they crushed it. The gameplay needs some work. It's not esports ready, but the quality and design, this is what I've been waiting for, a CS2 map that earned the 2. It's finally here after months of leaks, teasing, and conspiracy theories. If Microsoft buys Valve, that's game over! This is not a port of the map. While the basics look the same, there are some dramatic differences. Am I in the back rooms? Where am I? Including the weather. It's raining. When I first saw the rain, I was very worried because I remembered DE Aztec. When Global Offensive first came out, the rain lowered FPS and made visibility awful. After playing a number of games on the new train, I have to say they did a great job with implementing the rain. The map feels very optimized and it didn't hinder the visibility at all. The rain doesn't even show unless there's a light source nearby. There's also the extra visual effect of the rain hitting the view models, which I really like. This is the best possible way they could have introduced weather effects into something like Counter-Strike. I'm very impressed with this. The map is visually great. It looks good, and they accomplished this without hurting frame rates. I'm getting a consistent frame rate throughout the map, no drops anywhere. Certainly, a gloomy, rainy day at a train depot adds some variety to a map pool full of bright, dusty maps. Many of the problems with Train have been addressed. Old Train had a lot of narrow, extremely long angles that made gameplay less intuitive and ops overpowered. The map is now more open, those lanes have been cut off, angles are more deliberate, and it's obvious where you should throw utility and smokes. When new competitive maps come out, environment artists have a bad tendency to add a bunch of crap all over the place. That clutters the visibility, hinders the player's ability to smoothly move around the map, and adds places for utility to bounce off at weird angles. They did not do that this time. Train feels clean. I am a big fan of this. Speaking of new utility, Valve has introduced a new feature called Map Guide that teaches new players basic utility lineups. Go to Play, Practice, Competitive, Train, and click Load Map Guide. This will place nodes on the map with instructions to throw utility. The default ones they've used require you to use the grenade lineup reticule, which I don't use, so I will be making up my own throws. But guess what? They've set this system up so the community is going to be able to set up our own guides. I'm hoping in the future they are going to implement an in-game system like Deadlock has, where the community can create their own and vote on which ones they think are the best. Listen, I know this puts me out of a job, but I think it's a much better way to learn throws than watching a YouTube video. It's sponsor time. The new best keyboard for Counter-Strike just dropped. It's the Corsair K70 Pro TKL. Corsair is the official peripheral sponsor of TheWarOwl. If there's one word I would use to describe this keyboard, it would be responsive. We have an 8,000 Hz polling rate via Axon, Hall effect MGX hyperdrive magnetic switches, pre-lubed. This allows for immediate key press registration. And in fact, you can customize when the key press registers down to the 1/10 of a millimeter for each key individually. It also has the rapid trigger feature, which I recommend enabling for your movement keys. What does that mean? With rapid trigger, the key only has to move a short distance before it registers. If you're strafing right and holding down the D key, then counter strafe as soon as you see an enemy. As soon as you start lifting your finger, it registers as no longer pressing that key. And if you want to counter strafe again, it'll register as soon as you start pressing the key. It allows your movement in Counter-Strike to be completely responsive. It's time you got a keyboard that says fast as you. It saves your settings in memory on the keyboard, so wherever you go, your settings go with you. I have a setting for Counter-Strike and a setting for typing, and I can quickly toggle between them. If you're thinking about getting a new keyboard, I highly recommend the Corsair K70 Pro TKL. It's available right now. Follow my link in the description of this video. Thank you to Corsair for sponsoring. Sponsor time over. I don't think Train is competitive ready. I don't think it's ready for the premier map pool. It's gonna take some time and changes to tweak the map to the point where it works at high-level competitive play. I'm gonna go over all of the particulars, but biggest problem is that the best option for T's is to push T-main every round at the start of the round, as every other position was made more CT-sided on what was possibly the most CT-sided map in the history of Counter-Strike. This forces CTs to have to utility spam every round and just take the early fight T-main, or just play retake on A site. It's almost like the CTs are encouraged to rush on this one. Ivy has been reworked. The box is gone and the thing thing you can jump up on in the back to give you an alternate angle to peek from T-side has been removed. I think this makes the position much easier for CTs to hold, especially considering you can hold Ivy without being in danger from any other angles. Look at the new angles that CTs can safely hold. I think that this metal beam in the back gets in the way. When you peek an angle in Counter-Strike, you want to be as far back from the corner as possible to give yourself a perspective advantage. When you push yourself back against the wall in strafe, this thing makes it an awkward angle. Ivy used to be tough to take, but now it's a downright death trap. CT tunnels is completely different. The 2 lanes on the sides have been blocked off and the one in the middle has been opened. There's now just 2 ways to get into A's site, one in the middle and a narrow passage into hell. There's something about the narrowness of tunnels and the orange train jutting out that makes this the most awkward feeling position on the map. I do like that you can smoke it off, but something about this area feels cluttered and wrong. Hey, it's my face. I think A site is best understood from T main. We have this angle here and this angle here that we just showed, and then another angle right there. Notice the red train. This blocks off the entire site. It blocks off Z connector. It blocks off E box. This makes it a lot easier for the T's to push out here. I think this is the easiest way for T's to gain any sort of map control. Olaf now has a little jump up, which I actually like. Think about it from this perspective. As you're holding this angle right here, you also now have to worry about an extra angle at a different elevation. Heaven is gone. I honestly never liked this position. I thought it was kind of weird to have a position that was only accessible by ladder overlooking a plant position. What? Because of how T-main is, I envision a world where there's just gonna be utility spam at the beginning of the round to try to prevent them from pushing out. I actually think the T's get out there before this Molotov pops, so we're gonna be seeing a lot of flashes, a lot of nades, a lot of smokes in this area in the early round. You can still wallbang through these windows up here, so anybody trying to go showers has to think about the potential of getting spammed as they run through this position at the start of the round. Alternatively, if you're going B-side, you can run through this gauntlet right here, which has this long, wide, open angle all the way to upper B. Where the heck is Pop Dog, you may be asking yourself? There used to be a ladder here. Well, that's gone now. Now, this is gonna blow your mind. This is the biggest and most consequential change of the entire new map. You have to push past upper B tunnels to get into this new position, which is called Long Dog, or as I like to call it, Long Dong? No, Long... Long Dog. Not Long Dong. I was like, what? Why does it say Long Dong? So we're back in a site. This is Long Dog. We come in here, and it's this long hallway that's gonna head over to B. We've got this little cubby here that we can hide in as well. I think that a lot of the early fighting is gonna be for control of this position, because this opens up your options for both teams, actually. So we have this area right here. There's gonna be a fight early on, so that players who win it basically get control of Long Dog. Then we have the fight for A main, which again, this is gonna give control of Long Dog because we have the CTs pushing out and able to get in here and then take control. B site, like A site, has been opened up. Look at that, this train is gone. We only have a few angles to deal with. This is a simplification of train. I think a lot of these new angles are really well designed though. They're what I like to call deliberate angles. You'll see what I mean when we go upper right here. I think this is the best example of a deliberate angle in the entire map. So look at this. This is clearly designed for a player to hold lower B. I strafe to the left, I have cover. I strafe to the right, I have cover. If I move to look upper, boom. I have cover now from lower B and I'm protected. Now we do have this new block thing here in the middle. This kind of closes off the map a little bit. It adds new kind of hidey positions, even for the T's. As they're pushing out here, they can take position here and then clear from this side as well. Z connector is a little bit different. We have more angles to clear. We have to clear up there, and then we have to clear this cubby right here. I'm not a big fan of adding cubbies to maps. I think you're adding unneeded complexity that doesn't make the gameplay any better. I don't like gameplay where someone's just like hiding in a corner. That's not fun to me. I thought this was to like peek over this smoke, but yeah, you really can't. This is truly a simplification of Train. I would say Train was always a high difficulty map. This one is way easier to learn and play, and whether that's good or bad, I cannot say. I do think the design is better thought out, but some people prefer a more chaotic and nuanced design that allows more experienced players to cheese their opponents. I think there's room in the map pool for difficult maps. I'm gonna put Nuke in that category, but what else is there now? Vertigo? Hopefully that one gets removed for Overpass after the Shanghai Major. So I'm split here. I like the new train. I think it's very well made. It's probably the most well-made Counter-Strike map, but there needs to be some tweaks to the layout to give teams more options. I really hope that this is the template for new maps going forward, and we're gonna see a similar rework of Cobblestone. Premier has been on Season 1 for more than a year. It's time we started getting seasons with rotating map pools to keep the game fresh. I'd like for them to change one map in the pool every season and do 2 seasons a year, starting and stopping after the major tournaments. It's such an obvious win to do it that way. If you agree, like the video. If you disagree, also like the video, because it was a good video, you have to admit. Thank you for watching. I am TheWarOwl, and I still have no closer.